Well, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to hide your kids, you might want to hide your wives for this one, because today we're talking about these alien bozos, these UFO bastards out there. The water is turning the frogs gay. As Alex J once said, there's a reason, fellas. I cannot say his name. There's a reason for that one, fellas. Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you're brand new. Today we're going to be taking a listen to a clip from Joe Rogan podcast, and it really gets interesting, okay? So put your seatbelts on. You never know, you might get hit with some unexpected turbulence. Yay! We're gonna get into this one. Shout out to all of you for being here, guys. Roll this one.
I'm not necessarily worried about the alien thing. I'm more interested.
Sure.
I'm like, what is this? What the fuck is going on? You know, how much of this is nonsense? It's not 0%. So okay.
Yeah.
How much of it is real?
So you do think that people are coming down, or other?
Mathematically speaking, though, at least 30% gotta be real, or let's just be like, hey, at least 1%, at least 1% out of 100. So 99% fake, even though I don't believe that, but at least 1% gotta be real.
I think it's highly likely that the universe is way stranger than we think it is. Way stranger. And I don't even know if it's as conventional as a thing gets in a ship and flies here from another place.
Sure.
I think it might be interdimensional traveling. It might be something that's always been here. There's that thought, because there's so many instances of things like what we think of that are in like the Bhagavad Gita and these ancient texts. They're thousands and thousands of years old, and they're talking about things that fly in the sky, flying chariots, flying things that have...
Yeah, like the old-ass paintings as well, right? And I'm seeing a lot of this, right? A lot of people do believe there are conspiracies, and a lot of conspiracies do say this. People do believe that they're not necessarily coming from other planets, but they're interdimensional beings, or they have always been here. Some do believe that they're underwater, Atlantis is real. Some believe that they are interdimensional. Some believe all of it, that some of them have been here, some of them are here. Some of them are interdimensional, and some of them do come from space and other planets too. So yeah, what is real, what is not, I don't know, man.
Gods in them. Like, what is that? What's that all about? Like,
comets? Shooting stars?
Could be. For sure, some of them probably, right? Some of these things that people see streaking across the sky, they see something extraordinary, it lights up the sky, and then mythology gets attached to that, right? And then people, you know, 10 years from now tell that story, and then other people tell the story that's told to them by the people that were there, and then that gets a little twisted up like a game of telephone. There's some of that too, but then there's also uniformity. There's uniformity to the descriptions of the movements of the ships and what these things do and why they're interested in us and what they say. It gets very weird. It gets very weird to the point it's like, okay, if this is a mass illusion, if this is a creation of the mind, like Carl Jung thought it was a creation of the mind. He thought it was some sort of an illusion that people conjure up in their mind, but it's just like a common illusion. It's just like it's there in the human psyche.
Yeah.
But then there's also like physical evidence of these things.
Yeah.
The physical evidence is when things get real weird. Because then, like, if you're telling the truth, then this isn't totally an illusion. Or maybe it's all those things. Maybe it's total bullshit, lies, people with myths that make up myths about comets and natural disasters and all kinds of other stuff. And also interdimensional beings, occasionally. And then also things that have always been here, occasionally. And then also things from another planet, occasionally. I mean, all things are, it's not binary, right? It's not either UFOs are bullshit or, you know, they're real. 100.
Mathematically speaking, objectively speaking, whatever we're hearing, seeing in the sky, how many of you guys, okay, be honest, I want to know from you guys, right, if you ever seen a UFO for real and you were 100% convinced, not talking like, hey, I could have been, should have been, maybe, no, not talking about that, because in this aspect, like, I feel like that I've seen a UFO a long time ago, but I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not 100% on it. I believe that I've never seen one, but there was one instance where I thought it could be, but not convinced, okay? I do believe in them. I, of course, believe that we're not the only one out there, right? It's just mathematically impossible. But how many of you have seen a UFO and you're dead ass convinced that it was a UFO, not like a spy balloon, Chinese lantern, or a plane, or you know what I mean, right? Like 100%. I want to know where you guys at with it. Let me know in the comments.
100%. It's like It might be all those things, everything combined.
That's what I think a lot of people struggle with. Is it can be yes and yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be yes and no.
Yeah, there could be a lot of things going on simultaneously, and we can't be we're concentrating on one. Some of them, I 100% am convinced, are government drones
Has to be.
that work on some incredibly sophisticated propulsion system that probably doesn't have a person in it, but they probably can move at fantastic speeds using some new novel propulsion system that they don't want to release to the public. And they probably don't know how to weaponize it yet.
There was a saying that whatever technology you have seen with your eyes, military is 50 years advanced in that. And that's a quote, that's a saying that I heard like years and years ago, like a decade plus ago. So at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if the military is like hundreds of years advanced, because it's a compounding effect, right? From 1900s to 1950s, we advanced like crazy in comparison to all the years prior, all the centuries prior. So 1800 to 1900, we advanced like crazy in comparison to the 1700s. But from 1950s to now, insane. From the 90s to 2010s, shocker. 2010, or I should say 2010s to now, shocker, right? Like, yeah, insane. It's just we're compounding. It's a compounding effect that's going crazy.
So they're probably flying these things around at insane rates of speed. They just can't put guns on them yet. You know, they can't figure out how to shoot people with them. But so they're just with them. And then I think that's the reason why they keep getting sighted over these military spaces. I think they try them out on the troops, just like they try out vaccines in the troops, just like they try out burn pits. You know, they didn't test burn pits to make sure that people weren't going to get sick if they're just breathing in toxic fumes from all the garbage from thousands of troops. No, they just did it. You know, and I think they probably do the same thing with everything. They just tried out. So look at what it says here. Kenneth Arnold UFO sighting occurred on June 24th, 1947, when private pilot Kenneth Arnold claimed that he saw a string of 9 shiny, unidentified flying objects flying past Mount Rainier at speeds that Arnold estimated at a minimum of 1,200 miles an hour.
Dang.
So he saw these things flying at a rate, you know, in 47, they were propeller planes, and there's no way anything we had can move like that. And he's watching these things go at an insane rate of speed. And so he said they skipped across the sky like flying saucers on a lake. And so it became flying saucers.
Flying saucers.
Yeah. And so, but with people back then that saw those things, there's no way that was the Soviets. There's no way that was the Germans. There was no. Right. That's not ours. So whatever that is, if that was real, if the guy really did see those things. And then there was a string of them that were over the White House. In 1950 something.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did hear that a lot of people do believe in that. A lot of people don't believe that because there was a sighting on top of the White House as well, right? Yeah, so there are videos of that, but it's one of those things, right? Like, is it real? Is it real? Is it real? Is it fake? Is it real? Is it fake? Right? But yeah, I've heard it. You probably have heard that too.
There was photographed ones that were over the White House. There's actually like a news story about it.
Yeah, this one.
That these things flew over the White House.
Okay.
And I think they moved at a bizarre rate of speed too. So those ones give me pause.
Yeah.
Because look, the universe that's obviously a drawing.
When did that happen? 50s, he said, or because I believe that it happened like later on, not like the 50s. So maybe it happened in the 50s, and again too. Maybe they were there to meet Obama, man. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it was, man. Like, I don't know, man.
That's a drawing. But I think there is a photograph of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that photograph.
It's wild.
There might not be. Okay. Saucers over Washington, D.C. So what does the story say?
That looks like a comic book.
Senior air route traffic controller for the Civil Aeronautics Administration was in charge of the National Airport, Washington, D.C. ART Control Center on the night of July 19th, 1952. Briefly, he states in a newspaper article, "Our job is to constantly monitor the skies around the nation's capital with electronic eye of radar. Shortly after midnight on that day, 7 pips appeared suddenly on the control center scope. Ed Nugent, Jim Copeland, and Jim Ritchie all experienced radar controllers checked the observations. The airport control tower radar operator verified the same sightings. They were
Scroll it down.
Over the restricted areas of Washington, including the White House and the Capitol."
Dude.
Damn.
So those kind of things.
Yeah.
You got to go, well, what is that?
Right.
Look, the universe is big beyond our wildest imagination.
Yeah.
There's no way we could even fathom how big it is.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Look at that.
Yeah. So they moved at such sudden bursts of intense speed that radar could not track them simultaneously. Those objects seemed to head for the White House, the Capitol building, and the White House in triangular formations. The lighting made the front page, the sighting rather, made the front page headlines in all newspapers.
Dang.
Yeah. So those
wild.
kind of
Yeah.
things,
I mean,
you go, okay, well, what is that?
Right.
The universe is, it's impossible for us to even get our heads around how big it is.
Yeah.
So if there is some planet out there that's in the Goldilocks zone,
Yeah.
that's gone through what we're going through currently, but is 10,000 years ahead of us,
Right.
and finds the signature of nuclear bombs on this planet, and they realize, oh, okay, these crazy fuckers
Yeah.
have come into this new age where they could split the atom, and so
Yeah.
we should probably take a visit.
Yeah, it was interesting hearing Tucker talk about that part on here, like where that technology came from.
Yeah.
And that was, I hadn't really thought about that before.
Well, that's Diana Pasulka's work.
Okay.
Diana Pasulka and Gary Nolan, who is legitimate professor, I believe at Stanford, and they Diana Pasulka was also a professor. She's a professor of religion, and they have investigated a lot of these crash sites. And the way they describe them, the people that are investigating the crash sites, the actual scientists, they call them donations.
What?
Yeah,
Donations?
That's how they don't even think they're crashing like as an accident.
What?
They think some of them they're just sending down here. Like, hey, figure that out, stupid.
Oh,
You know,
man.
send them to some remote place.
Yeah.
Slam it down there, and then the government has to rope off the area.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you can still find parts in this one area of New Mexico where this one crash site was. They didn't tell them where it was.
Yeah.
They blindfolded them, took them out to this crash site, let them investigate it. And you can still find these pieces of this, some kind of metal that you can take and you can crumple it in your hand like tinfoil, and then it goes right back to the original shape.
Really?
It's the same thing that was described in Roswell, New Mexico. The people that...
Yeah.
The Roswell thing is very hard because...
Yeah, right. The Roswell, that's like the very first, I mean, not the first sighting or the first crash ever, but it's one of those incident that happened, and that's what popularized, or that's what made it super... this topic got a lot of attention because of that crash, because in the very beginning in newspaper they said that a saucer crash, right? That's what they said. Later on they said that it was just a balloon. Then the military came out, they responded, they said that no, it's ours, man, it was just a balloon, military exercise. Then they said that it was classified, some bull squash like that. Then they said that okay, we don't know, and yeah, still to this day there's not 100% concrete evidence for it. But there have been whistleblowers that came forward that did say that they've seen the beings, and there's a conspiracy that there were two beings, or maybe more than that. One of them died, but the other one lived, and that being got to live 5 more years. And you know, after that we had the Area 51 conspiracy, right? Like all that they shifted that alien to the Area 51, and together the humans and the alien worked together, this and that, and so we had that. So this conspiracy originated from this 47 Roswell, New Mexico crash. That's where it originated from.
There's so many people involved, and there's so many similar stories. But the problem is, when a story's been told for so long, people repeat a story.
Right. It becomes
they're
the
told
truth,
in
kinda.
towns when there's no recording devices, there's no no one has phones. This is a long time ago. They have regular phones, but no cell phones, obviously. And what they're doing with all this stuff is they're all talking about it, and then a narrative gets established, and then people tend to repeat
the
narratives that
narrative,
are established.
Right.
It's hard because you're talking.
Yeah, and even in this case, right, even though I'm a believer, but like it's true though. You repeat a lie, not saying that this story is a lie, but that's a saying, and it's true. You repeat a lie over and over and over and over, and it becomes the truth. So you repeat the lie over and over, it becomes the truth. And whatever, and that's the thing, right? Like the first ever newspaper report of this incident was that a UFO did crash. I was not there. You probably were not there either. If you were there, hey, let us know in the comments what happened, man. I want to know your thoughts too. But the thing is that the very first report was the UFO, and there was an interesting study that was that I actually heard because they've done research, and the data shows that whatever you hear for the first time in news, you tend to believe it than the follow-up story. For example, let's just say you hear so and so done this and that, right? You heard that in the news, it blew up, the news got viral, you heard it, you're gonna believe that, versus the follow-up that comes out that says that whatever you heard in the beginning is fake, it's false, right? So you tend to believe the very first one because you believe it's a cover-up, maybe, because this and that, fake news perhaps, and more often than not, the very first news that gets shared is the one that would get the most eyeballs. The follow-up story, it's not gonna reach the same people. Sometimes it doesn't even reach the same size, same amount of people. So the very first is something that most people tend to believe. There was an interesting study that I was reading on, and kind of makes sense, man. And this is how rumors get spread. This is how, because at the point, because once you hear a story, you're gonna be like skeptical about it, but then they tell you it's not true, then you're like mega skeptical. If they tell you it's true, then you're still questioning. It's one of those things, especially when it comes to topics like these.
Talking about something that happened in 1947, but
Right.
there's a lot of things that come almost right after Roswell. One of them is a transistor, and the other one is
Yeah, microchips,
optical,
maybe. Like
what is that stuff called?
59.
Fiber optics.
Okay.
Fiber optics. Fiber optics seem to emerge after that, and it's one of the things that's described in the crash.
Yeah.
The people that have described it. But the thing is, like, again, you're hearing these things decades later. You're hearing it's very difficult to figure out what actually happened, but something seems to have happened, because the Roswell Daily Record, I have a framed cover of the front page of the Roswell Daily Record from 1947.
Yeah, the UFO one, right?
Which says there's a crashed UFO, that the government flew to the base, and that, you know, it's like in the news.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem like something back then that you would just make up.
Yeah. I don't know, unless there's a
Yeah, right, because in the very beginning they did say it was a UFO that crashed, but then they were like, no, bro, like, it was not a UFO, it was a balloon, man, it was a balloon, it was a balloon. Maybe they were being real when they said it was a balloon, but here's the thing, though. At first they said it was a UFO, and more people tend to believe that, and then we had whistleblowers that also repeated the same thing, that it was, they saw an alien body, you know, they took the body, they took to Area 51, all that. We have conspiracies like that, so it's very hard to say what is real, what is not. And of course, like, human mind is gonna tend to believe the one that seems the most interesting, the intriguing, the fascinating one, right? And the fascinating story in this one was the, hey, UFO crash, an alien died, the other one survived. That's more fascinating, though, versus, hey, it was just like a balloon, you know, a balloon crash, hey, who cares? So yeah, that's where
reason behind it, distraction. I mean, who knows? It's
yeah, who
it's
knows?
wild.
It could be something that the United States was working on, but it seems like they were trying to cover it up, so much so that they flew the wreckage in two separate planes to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and Truman met them there.
Things, yeah. 47's a big year. 63, obviously, a big year with the Kennedy assassination. 59 is a huge year. A lot of things happen.
2024 could have been an insane, it is an insane year already, but yeah, they try to assassinate Trump as well, right? So that happened just recently. If you're watching in 2050, man, let us know what else happened, man, because the 2024, sheesh, man, like, this year has been insane. It could have been even insane if, you know, that happened. And people have analyzed the video so much. Seems like it was another inside job. Had it been, it still is an inside job, right? Because people were saying, not my opinion, this is what people at the rally were saying, they were seeing people on the rooftop, and I saw a video as well, somebody released a different angle video where you see like a man was just climbing the roof and going on the roof, and you're saying that people, and there was a witness, that eyewitness came out and said that they saw a person walking on top of the roof. They try to tell the Secret Service and they try to warn them, hey, I'm seeing people on rooftops, it looks suspect, it's shady, but they didn't took any action. And then, you know, there was like DEI stuff as well, because they had a woman as well that couldn't even like put the gun back in her whatever you call that thing, right? Like where you secure the gun, right? No offense to all the ladies that are watching this video, y'all are strong, y'all are independent, but this is what happened, okay? This is what happened, and it's a video. Like they were recording, the cameramen were there on the scene, live news happening, and she was like she was like that, and like couldn't secure her weapon. So then there was a lot of this DEI situation, because of her height as well. I'm a short fella myself, so not trying to, no disrespect to the short woman out there, y'all, no disrespect to the shotties out there, but you know what I mean, right? Like, you need somebody that's like 6 foot, 7 foot tall, so they can secure the president like that. But you know, there's a whole lot of that. 2024 is an insane year, but people have analyzed the video where the bullet would have went through the head had Trump did not turn like that, because he turned like that and the bullet pierced through his ear. That happened. So it's crazy, man. It is crazy.
Happened in 59. There's a book.
Was it Truman or Eisenhower met him there? I forget. But and the other thing that Lazar said about the crafts that was baffling to him in the 1980s, he said there was no seams. He said there was no welds, there's no rivets, there's no seams. But now we know about 3D printing. Now they can 3D print anything. And if you conceivably have a machine that's large enough, you could 3D print a spacecraft. And it wouldn't have any seams.
Sheesh, man, that's crazy. What the hell? Guys, check out this video on the screen. This is the last episode that we've done. If you enjoyed this, you're gonna love this one, because Dr. Stephen Greer exposed a lot of the stuff. We got video, we got expose, we got credential, we got like 400 some military people that came on, talked about this crap too. You're gonna love this one. Check this video out. If you've already seen it, then surely check out the video on the left.